Now.
Oh, here we go. Admit.
Yeah. And you're going to give me the power there, Allison?
You have the power. You'll just have to know how to use it, Jeff.
Okay.
Just kidding. You're a co-host. I mean, you're a co-host, so you should be able to. I'll make Heidi a co-host too, in case.
I got it.
And then, yeah, if you can try to keep an eye out, I'm going to have to step out to do dinner with the kids and stuff. And so I'll try to monitor for people wanting to come in, but Heidi, I'm going to make you a co-host. I made Jeff a co-host, make you a co-host too, to just have a few people keeping an eye out for that.
So either of us can let them in.
Yeah, it's sometimes easy to miss.
Yeah.
Like somebody waiting.
Yeah, got it.
And how do I know if somebody's waiting, Allison? I guess I haven't used that world before.
So you can click on down at the bottom, there's like a participants icon. If you click on that, it'll bring up
everybody.
A window. And when somebody's trying to get in, it'll have like a different category. It'll say,
cool,
so-and-so, and you can click on admit.
Yeah, perfect.
Can you say you
Thank you, Richard. I just texted you.
It's that fast.
Richard's really fast. He's old, but he's fast.
So do you guys see this is an example of somebody waiting?
Yeah, Linda.
Do you want to let her in?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
I got Richard, but I got distracted.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't realize you guys were, you're on it.
We're on it. We're figuring it out.
Okay.
Slowly but surely.
It's going to bug me, Linda. Lower your screen a little bit. So I don't look up your nostrils. It's just going to really bother me the whole time. There, oh, I like that. I like that. No, I like that. Just the keyboard. So I can keep an eye on you. And I know if you're paying attention. Yeah, right. Yeah. Richard, did you go to sleep? Is that you lying down in a sleeping bag? No. Heidi, you want to take this? It's all yours.
You were looking at the empty couch.
No, I was looking at the red horizontal potential sleeping bag.
You're asking me if you want me to run the meeting or what?
Yes, that was the question.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but I'm sure I could try. It would be good, I guess, while you're here to run down.
Or you can wait till June, your choice.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you run down through and with the lens on of giving me pointers along the way? That way I'll be ready to go in June. That would be great.
Great. Nita's out of the country. I'm sure she'll dial in if she thinks about it. Probably not. Margot, as we all saw, is buried under schoolwork. So coming into the home stretch here, into the year. So if someone can volunteer to help me take minutes, that would be great. Because Anita's not here. Don't all jump on it.
I can take notes. Although it would be great for somebody to, we need to come up with somebody who can take notes when Jeff and Anita are gone. So if there's anybody that's willing to do that, that would be great.
Ellen forgot the meeting. All right. Let's see now. We have a guest with us. Laura, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Laura Amy, and I started a message thread with, I don't know who I was, I know I was talking to you, Jeff, but I don't know who else I was talking to the other day.
It was Lenny. It was Lenny. Lenny's and Lenny helped me set up the website, and we both keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And so I think he didn't see that we were communicating, and he jumped in as well. So that's who the other voice was.
Hmm.
You know Lenny Gronros?
Probably by sight, but I don't know the name.
Yeah, he's in Rockport. Anyway, he's not on the committee anymore, but we'll get to you in a couple minutes, Laura. We'll just do some housekeeping, and then we'll put you first on the agenda so you can add your voice, and then you can go get dinner or whatever else you need to do.
Okay.
Any corrections to the April minutes? No. Okay, any objections to accepting them as approved, as written then? Great.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you.
So
Lynn.
moved. I gotta turn off the scanner.
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
It sounds like a ray gun.
I know. I know.
Great. Just a second.
And remind me, Jeff, how many of us have to be here to make?
Oh, I lost audio. There you go.
And let's see, committee member status. Tom, are you going to put those papers in as a alternate for Camden?
Yeah, I guess I must have missed the fact there were papers that I needed to fill out. I will
Yeah,
do that. I will do
Yeah,
that.
it-
I'm very busy, so.
that's fine. If the easiest way to find them is to Google it rather than try to find them on the website. And you Google Camden, Town of Camden, Maine, committee application. And then they'll come up with a PDF. And you
Okay.
fill it out and give it. You can submit it by email too.
Okay,
If you have any trouble, just poke me.
sure.
Okay. We have a non-agenda item in the form of Laura Amy, who voiced interest in some facility construction. So Laura, tell us what you're thinking.
Well, it's something that I would love to see for the entire community, but I will admit that I do have ulterior motives because I live on Mountain Street. But I would like some momentum as far as getting the sidewalk extended from the cemetery at least up to the carriage trail. I've had a lot of people that I've talked to over the years that are all for it. And I'm just a little bit confused as to why it hasn't been worked on in the past, because there's been so much put into Route 1. There's been so much put into 105. And yet Mountain Street, arguably, I'm saying arguably, has, you know, a lot more children, a lot more bikers, a lot more people walking to the carriage trail. It's only a mile from the center of town. And we have a problem with speeding. The road is way too wide. I've had DOT years ago. I was trying to talk to DOT about having the speed limit lowered because, like, ironically, incrementally, the speed limit is faster on Mountain Street than it is on 105 and than it is on Route 1. I mean, you're less than a mile out of town and it goes to 40 miles per hour, which means basically 60 miles per hour for people that are heading towards Lincolnville. So, yeah, I mean, I've lived here a long time. I did have a petition at Zoot years ago. I mean, about lowering the speed limit. I didn't really get anywhere with the DOT, primarily because of the width of the road. And I had hundreds of people sign that petition. And then it never really went anywhere. I mean, this is years ago. This is like Leonard Lookner was on my side. This was probably 15 years ago. And yet it's still like nothing's really happening. So anyway, I could talk on and on and on about it. I've had people probably, without exaggerating, at least a couple of times a year, I will drive families into town that will drive up the mountain on Route 1 because nobody really walks to the state park from town. It's so far. So they'll drive to the mountain, go up the mountain, and then get lost coming down and come down the backside near my house. And so, you know, I have these people and they're like, I want to walk into town safely, and they have kids and the speed is so fast. And so, I mean, probably 2 or 3 times a year, I will bring a family in my car down back to their car on Route 1, you know, at the Camden State Park. Anyway, sorry, I can go on and on and on, but is there any movement at all towards doing anything about Mountain Street?
Mountain Street isn't, and I think I wrote this to you too, Laura. What we do is we look at all the streets and all the sidewalks in the town, and then we have to decide if we had $1 to spend, where would we spend the $1 first?
Yeah.
And that's usually, that's the elements that go into deciding that are how many people would use that particular facility. I'm calling sidewalks or bicycle ways facilities. So it doesn't say it one way or another. So you say how many people use it, and then how dangerous is the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, what we'd love as a pathways committee is to have sidewalks and great off-street cycleways for everybody on all the streets. But we're a little town. We don't have a huge tax base, and we can only manage so much. I mean, the town in terms of project management and all that. So what we do is we go through, we look at every street, and in fact, we're just coming to completion on updating the sidewalk survey for Camden, and we're going to be going over the Rockport one at the end of this, during this meeting, and we're going to go through, and we've identified where all the issues are in terms of existing infrastructure.
Mhm.
And we give that to the public works guys to talk about, to try to get their attention to deal with sunken manhole covers or grates that are put on 90 degrees to the wrong way so that bicycles can fall through, or crumbling sidewalks, or trees lifting and creating hazards on sidewalks. So we go through that on all the sidewalks. And then, as I mentioned, we go through and we have a master plan that says, okay, given where all the infrastructure is now, if we had $1, where could we add and build additional sidewalks? And where would we put them in? And you're right, we start closer to town because, and we build out from there. We identified the 105 work, which will be done this year and next year, to extend the sidewalk there to Shirt Tail for the very reason you're describing, that we should extend to the carriage trail. But the Shirt Tail or 105 doesn't have a shoulder like Mountain Street does. Mountain Street's got a big shoulder. So although it doesn't have a sidewalk, if you walk, and I walk there all the time, and I see the very people you're talking about, they have this look, they're looking around like, am I on Mars? This is not where we parked.
Yeah.
And they're saying, and they realize they've got 2.5 miles or more to walk back to get to their car.
The carriage trail's only a mile, like a little bit. I'm exactly a mile from town, so it's close, you know.
No,
Oh,
I'm talking about for them to get back to their
back to
parking
Route
lot.
1. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't mean to come in and, say second guess what you're doing and everything, but basically, I just think that the widening of this road really attributed, I mean, I know what you're saying about safety on the shoulder and everything, but it really attributed to make it more of like a throughway, like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
going faster. And I understand what you're doing. I completely appreciate it. I've been following you from a distance for so long, but I have to say that some of the decisions, I'm like, why are you putting sidewalks on Rawson instead of where and Shirt Tail? I don't think that many people walk to Shirt Tail, but this
A lot of
road
people walk
is
to Shirt Tail.
so people travel on this road so much. I mean, it's on the bike trail tour to actually, they're encouraging you to ride a bike on this road, the town of Camden, and yet it's not safe to ride a bike on this road,
Well, I disagree with you, Laura. I think that road is a very safe place to ride a
You
bike
do?
on, but not, I do, because it's got such a big shoulder and I feel safe with
What
that
about
white fog line.
around Maiden's Cliff? And that whole area is it's a little treacherous,
Oh, after Maiden's Cliff, the road gets narrow. You're absolutely right. But up until that point, the shoulder is very consistent. Linda?
So I really appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think what your energy and what you're talking about is, it's been going on in most of the roads in town, in both towns, for the last 25 to 30 years. So it takes a collective effort to get ourselves some pathways, some safe places for kids and old people and bikers and whoever else. And I think we should just put that on our list of roads to talk about. I mean, if that's the case, then let's talk about it.
Okay.
And Allison, if the town is talking about it, so much the better. But you're spot on.
Yeah, I mean, the sidewalk, is it like midway at the cemetery? It just stops. Yeah.
Allison?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's sometimes one of those things where like every idea has its season, and things that have been pushed for in the past that hit roadblocks. There are different people here now, different people at MDOT, different people in public works, different funding opportunities. And so I feel like sometimes what happens is we've tried things in the past and people have gotten discouraged. And so they've said, oh no, we really have to work on this instead of this. But I think that like right now is a really good time to be pressing those things, especially with like Dave St. Laurent is really focused on a lot of these things. And he's always in conversation with MDOT on various different funding opportunities and sort of knowing when they're going to do work. And so it seems to me it would be worth it if you have the time to put all of this in writing again, and send it to Dave or send it to the whole select board and copy Dave and the just to get, it's really helpful for us to have like it documented from citizens sometimes that they feel that it's a concern, so that it's not just like I've heard Dave multiple times say, this is crazy that the speed limit is what it is, especially with more and more people hiking. And, you know, you're in different parts of that road where you're going 55 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, going around this turn. And then all of a sudden it's like people are turning off to, you know, to go to Maiden's Cliff, or it's not the town of Camden that has the bike route. That's a state thing, but all the more reason that we can pressure them to say, even if they can't do a sidewalk right away, you know, trying some kind of like experimental treatment with bollards or signage, or right now, they've just applied for a permission to put up just a sign out by the boat launch that says like watch for pedestrians, just to, and even that was like, we're still waiting for approval because it's like not an approved sign, but just to say like, hey, watch out, there could be pedestrians, which is a very small thing and not enough. But if you could just put all of that in writing again, I think it would be helpful for him to know the history of people asking for this.
I will do that. And it is, I mean, I could go on and on. The speed limit is crazy. You know, I mean, pulling into my driveway, which, you know, theoretically people should stop and wait for you to pull into your driveway, but I will just have people pass me on the right. And if somebody is right there walking to the trail, they're going to get hit. It happens to me on a daily basis. You know, that shoulder gives them just enough room to just whoosh, go around you on the right-hand side and pass you illegally right where people are walking and right where people are going. I mean, I had an accident. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know all of you, but I don't know if you even, I'm at 154 Mountain Street. And so my neighbor is Ken Twaddell. You probably know Ken. So he has all of that land and had these big gardens right across from the carriage trail. And at one point a few years ago, somebody was driving through talking on their cell phone and rolled their car into the yard. I mean, it was so crazy how fast that they were going. And if they were in that yard gardening and kids all up and down the street, you know, people would have been dead, you know, children. It's just ridiculous. I just really feel like something needs to be done. Yeah.
Heidi?
Yeah, I had two questions, but I think you answered it. So I'm trying to vision, there's a sidewalk that's on the cemetery side.
So if you're coming,
There's a sidewalk on the cemetery side. that
Yeah, and
Basically,
it stops halfway into the cemetery, and
I think it's not even halfway. It's
Yeah.
before halfway.
maybe it's not
Yeah.
halfway. It just stops, you know, maybe
It
it's like
does.
right before the cemetery.
That's my memory, Laura.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is better than nothing to have, you know, going. And so that was my vision. And so then I'm just thinking, you know, we'd have to get people to be able to cross the street, you know, if the idea is the sidewalk is for the carriage, because there's also that, you know, scenario of getting people across on a, you know, speed. So I think, you know, when you talk about the language of, you know, when you're writing things down, you know, that's another reason why the speed limit could and should be decreased, is because if we're going to be looking at talking to DOT about how we might be able to get sidewalks, we're going to have people cross the street.
Yeah,
as
I mean, I
well.
don't see why you couldn't put a pedestrian crossway on this, you know, crosswalk from the sidewalk to the carriage trail itself. In a perfect world, and I'm not pushing for this, I promise you right now, but like in a perfect world, what I would love to see on all of these streets, you know, I would love to see a bike path on one side and the sidewalk on the other side. I know that's not going to happen right away, you know, but the frustrating part, and Allison, I really appreciate you saying that there has been a turnover with the DOT, because I mean, I had all of this documented. I still do, you know, but this was so long ago, and they came and they did speed studies, and, you know, the whole thing is just, it is so counterintuitive, at least at the time, that they come and they do these speed studies and say, we can't lower the speed limit because people are driving too fast. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's,
You know, like, what?
that,
What?
isn't that, yeah, that's the way, that's exactly right. It's crazy.
We
But
call it
that's-
DOT, we call it, they're putting us in the spin cycle. It's
Yeah,
just around and around and around. And it's like, I can't do it because of this person. That person will say they can't do it because of that person, and the speed. Yeah. And then they love to say, well, we could do a speed study, but we have to warn you, they may increase the speed.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's like, you know what? I want to call them on their bluff. Let's go ahead and do this. Like, I have the same issue with Mechanic Street a little bit, but I totally agree with you on everything you're saying.
yeah, you know, too, like, I'm just like, are you kidding? Like, you're kidding me. Like, some of the conversations that I had with them, I'm like, this is crazy. It is completely crazy. I'm like, do the speed study. And I just had this, like, part of me was like, I just want to get in my car and drive up and down the road going like 10 miles an hour, like 100 times a day. Like, oh, see, there are people that are driving way under the speed limit, you know? Like, anyway, so that's my spiel. And I mean, I will send all of that to you and to the town, to the select board. And I'm,
Here, I'll give you Dave's email too, in the comments here.
Linda?
Yeah, I would suggest that it's an important route, and you know, we're only going to increase the number of people going out to the carriage trail or going out to different trailheads. So why don't we put it on our list, to-do list, and incorporate it, possibly discuss it for the plan, you know, that we submit every year to the town, put some structure to it. And so Laura, your notes, your analysis, your numbers would be a big help if you submit them to us as well.
okay. And I don't know where to submit it, but I will submit anything to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
And
data, any observations that you have?
yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And you can reach me anytime. I'll write my email in there. And thank you all for taking the time to listen to all of this.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest.
All right.
All right. Hang on a second. I'm trying to. Yeah. Helen's lost. Trying to communicate with Helen. All right. Any other comments? Last comments before we leave that? The action items are that Laura's going to send a note to the select board, sorry, to Dave St. Laurent with a CC to the select board, maybe, and that'll circle Allison in too, so she knows what's going on. And Laura Allison is our liaison to the select board. Every committee has a liaison. And she's really good about participation. So it's good that we're lucky to have on the committee.
All right. Well, I will let you all go on. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome to stay. No problem. Next item is Maritime Farms, Shirtail, the extension. That work is still scheduled to move on this year. That's my understanding. It's still there. So hopefully we'll see some movement there. Update on the Riverwalk. I did exchange emails with Audra on this. I think I told you last time I've been trying to get an audience with her to talk to her about different ideas on the sections of the wastewater treatment plant and the middle school. She still feels pretty strongly that the best approach is to wait on the river restoration potential, because the river restoration has elements of the Riverwalk included in it. It's a better grant opportunity than RTPs, which are their normal way to go. Yeah, that's where she wants to stay focused. She somewhat related to it, but distantly, is the other element, getting pedestrian access to land that someone wants to give to you through an easement. I don't know if you remember this, the town, we're still trying to get the town to come up with wording for how to approach a landholder, a property owner that says, yeah, you can have an easement here. And the town doesn't have any verbiage existing to say, yeah, we'll accept that easement. So we're trying to get bandwidth from the lawyer to review what we've got so that when the opportunity comes up, we can step forward and have that in our hand rather than being behind on it. Route 90, anything on that, Heidi or Linda, as far as meetings or anything?
Just real quickly, Jeff, can I ask something about the Riverwalk before we move on?
Yeah, you bet.
I'm just curious, it seems like since I've been on the committee, this has been kind of your baby to keep moving forward. And so I'm just wondering are there things that you want to make sure that while you're gone, we are checking in on, or are there pieces that we can do while you're gone?
I think the big thing, there are two big things, two big chess moves. One of them I just mentioned, and that is to stay engaged with the river restoration project, and that the Riverwalk continues to be a part of that in terms of any engineering and design work that goes on, which it currently is. So stay engaged in that. That's going to be a project that moves along pretty slowly. And I would expect that I'll be back in a year and it won't be much further along, but still, it's a big project, and it's worth the effort to stay engaged in that. The other element is that legislation that has come out of committee that Vicki is very much aware of, and that is, let me see if I can remember exactly how the wording is. It has something to do with mountain bike trails, or trails that are built to accommodate mountain bikes are not included in disturbed surfaces. I'm not exactly sure that word, the use of the word disturbed surface. It's not impervious, but it's something else. The intention was any trail up to 6 feet that is built by and for mountain bikers does not need to be counted specifically for ski resorts in terms of their disturbed surfaces. And the idea is to remove a huge chore or cost to have all the mountain bike trails surveyed for all the ski resorts. And I think that because of the way they defined the trail, that it's designed for mountain bikers or designed to be used by mountain bikers, that could potentially also include the Riverwalk. And that will be coming up for vote this year. It's out of committee and it's going to be up for vote, and Vicki thinks it'll be approved. If that gets approved, I would like to ask DEP whether our 6-foot Riverwalk could also fall under this, specifically for the middle school property. Because even if the river restoration project goes through, there is no additional space to develop anything on the property at the middle school. You can't do anything at the middle school because they're up to, that's not true, Allison, but that, well, let me finish. So that's my understanding is there's no more, you can't build anything, whether it's a sidewalk or a patio or a river walk. And because of that, we have to find another way to be able to do that. Allison?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that in that section that the river project would have the potential to do is to actually make that parcel bigger, which in terms of percentage of impervious surface, some of the wetland restoration there, because the impoundment of the dam goes all the way back almost to Rossin Ave. So that's, I mean, that's a common thing that it's submerged land turns into not submerged land.
That's a question I haven't asked, but I believe the question I haven't asked is how they measured the size of the property, whether they considered water in that measurement. I suspect they didn't. I suspect they went straight from the property and survey lines, which go right out into the middle of the river, don't they?
No. So the other thing is that there's a lot of opportunity there for an elevated boardwalk. And I mean, I know that's maybe not your preference, but I do think a lot of people get excited about the opportunity to learn about wetland habitat. And, you know, if we could get that paid for.
Oh, yeah.
We're very much in the phase of things. I mean, to say that you don't think it is going to progress at all, what's important to have happen is to get the grant cycles take a long time, as you know, but we're being very much encouraged to apply for all of this funding. And what actually had a conversation the other day with the people from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, kind of explained, like, you know, there's a lot of interest from the community and it's, you know, controversial and people aren't, you know, we need more, we're not ready to move forward with any kind of construction anywhere. But so a lot of the, you know, design funding that they have available, they're very aware that that would need to, you know, it's gonna take a little while and the community's gonna want to look at different options in different places, but to get that funding in order to be able to look at different design options, we could have that, you know, that section of things ready to go, even if, you know, other aspects of it aren't. So I don't think it necessarily, a lot of what needs to be done is the design and getting, you know, construction ready plans and having a couple different options ready would, I don't know if you should say, oh, it's never going to happen. It's going really slowly. The other
I didn't
thing
say
is
that. I didn't say it would never happen.
I know,
Heidi's
but,
question was what needs to be done in the next year? And I said, I don't think anything needs to be done in the next year. Just stay engaged in the process.
there's also the wastewater treatment project, like actual construction there. As an interim portion of this, remember when we had the planning board site plan review for that, and we got them to agree to take down that fence. So, I mean, there's already a road that goes through the wastewater treatment plant, and there's just a massive amount of construction going on right now. And so I think continuing to not like take the heat off in terms of saying, remember, you agreed that pedestrian can go through, should be able to go through there. That might be an alternative to building a different trail in the short term, but it's already, I mean, we've been down there. There's a road that could easily have a, you know, pedestrian access through it. So I think we should probably not let them forget about that.
Was part of the other reason I was trying to talk to Audra. I specifically mentioned the wastewater treatment plant and that we should move forward with a grant for that section.
I'm talking about the actual road that's existing.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, the director of the wastewater treatment plant, Dave, does not want anything constructed on that road because he's worried about the 18-wheelers or the trucks that are going up and down there, and that there's not enough room to have people walking on there.
I know, but we pushed back on that and we got the planning board to agree, and there's no reason,
Oh.
those same 8-wheelers go up Lions Lane and they go all through those other places and people manage to dodge them. And so to say that just because a couple 18-wheelers come through there every once in a while, the public can't go through there. I do think, I mean, the planning board wrote it into their site plan review approval that the fences were to be taken down to allow for, pedestrian and wildlife passage. So we shouldn't just getting those fences taken down and forcing them to put the fences in a place that just keeps people away from the, the unsafe areas rather than blocking them from the whole property, I think is an important part of getting us ready for any kind of river walk that goes through there. Because if people are allowed to start just walking through there, it's almost like nature takes its course a little bit and, a path emerges. But since they've managed to keep everybody from even setting foot there, nobody even sort of envisions it. But I don't know, I just think it was a victory when Pathways weighed in to the planning board. They were receptive to that. It got put in the criteria and we shouldn't let them forget it.
Linda, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I'm confused. If Audra has said wait, and yet we're talking about moving ahead with, where do we put our energies and make sure that we're not wasting our energies? So I think it's a collective decision whether we wait for the restoration plan and hope that it is taking shape and that a river walk is included in that, or we press ahead and talk to Maria again and really get the data about those two pieces of property, because it's really close. I mean, it's getting closer and closer, right? The different parts of the pathway as it stands right now. So, and I guess I'm thinking this coming year, Jeff, when you're gone.
I
I'll just not
specifically
saying
mentioned,
every single
on.
thing.
Go ahead, Allison.
I just think but what Audra's comments are being misinterpreted, because there's a difference between applying for, we can't apply for a grant to put a new pathway in there when we haven't even finished. They're not even doing tours over there right now. I don't know if you've looked to like the massive level of construction happening. So would be very hard to be applying for a grant to put a pathway through there. But right now, they don't even have that place set up so that people could walk through there. Like they don't let anybody in. And so chipping away at least, even if they're like at the middle school right now, there's not an official public pathway, but at least they are not blocking people from walking along there. They're not saying you need to stay away from this because it's too dangerous. People can go through there, but the wastewater treatment plant, we're not even, it's not even set up to, it's set up like a prison where you have to stay like a huge radius from it. So getting them to take down those fences is going to push us closer to the point where it's easier to envision a pathway of any sort. It'll be easier to apply for a grant. All of that stuff will be easier once people can get through there.
So does it make sense that, over the next 12 months, we request a restoration plan update specifically for the Pathways Committee, because we have been so focused on the Riverwalk for so many years? I mean, does it make sense we say, hey, where is the plan at? What's going on? And we just stay in conversation. And I don't know who that would be, if it's Audra or if it's you, Allison, or who's in charge of, that whole process.
I feel like we're just not communicating. So I don't think, sure, you can request updates. I mean, there's a 50% design that's been done so far that Jeff gave input on. But the problem is with doing anything there is going to be that the wastewater treatment plant itself isn't set up to allow people on that parcel at all.
I think your message is good, Allison. The message is if let's keep taking the fence down in front of people's consciousness and make sure that that actually does happen. That's the next thing we can get done. When that gets
And-
done,
right.
and that's something we can advocate for.
And that way, if the river-
regardless of what happens, regardless of what the next step is, that fence needs to be removed on both ends to allow people to have access. It would work for an RTP grant. We need it. We would need it for the river restoration, et cetera. And we get better PR and more awareness if people started getting to the end of our little trail there. And if we sort of rough something out that let them walk through the wastewater treatment plant, then they would start doing that. And it would, the reality of what this could look like could start seeping in, which would help move the project along. Is that it, Allison?
Yeah, and then if we want to apply for, I think then it would be easier to say the river stuff is taking a long time. Then you can say, all right, well, let's do this. It would be easier to take that leap and say, let's just apply for an RTP grant, because people are already going to be seeing, oh, it's where people are already walking. It'll just be an easier leap, I think.
So then, and then Linda, I'm a little bit in your camp too, because I can read you what Audra wrote to me. And I had to read it a couple times. She's supportive, but she says, we're not in a position to apply for an RTP grant. A much better fit will be the National Coastal Resilience Funding through the National Fish and Wildlife. All the work the town has done to date on the river restoration study means that we're considered a pipeline project. And that's it. And she's responding to my question to say, what about applying for an RTP grant this fall, which would come available and be available for the following 2 years when, I can't remember the administrator at MDOT, but he encouraged us to apply in September for $150,000 for the wastewater treatment plant section. He said this fall would be a good time to do it. So if we don't apply this fall, what we could do is advocate for the fences to be taken down and then perhaps apply in the fall of 2023, which it takes about 6-7 months to put the grant application together, because we have to go through all the planning board steps and answer all the questions they want answered. And those all take time, plus getting on the planning board agenda and things like that. And select board, we have to get their approval as well. Plus you have to have historic stuff and all that. I think historic resources, something. Anyway, a lot of work has to go into it. So I was pressing whether we wanted to do something this fall, but basically what it would be roll into next year. And that would be a big thing, Heidi, if we as a committee decided to do that. Allison?
So I think you're being maybe a little bit unfair to Audra when you see that she is not in a position to, we have Dave Bolstridge is the wastewater superintendent. He's in charge of overseeing that area. And as you noted, he and the other employees there are very resistant to any kind of public access there. And I'm not defending that. I'm just acknowledging it. And it's very
Right.
problematic. And so there's only so much that she can do, or really is even appropriate, I think, for a town manager to do in terms of like forcing their, Dave Bolstridge's opinion is that it's not an appropriate place for people to be.
That's
And
correct.
in order for Audra to be in a better position to say, actually, we're just going to do this, I think that's where the public kind of pressure needs to be like external and not just asking Audra to create that pressure internally, because there's only so much she can move that needle. And that's why I'm advocating, that's why I'm advocating strongly for forcing people to be in there, because I think it's going to be easier for her to then push. I'm just kind of politely saying that she's supportive of all this stuff, but she's encounters internal resistance.
Got it. Good. So in a nut, just summarizing, something we can do is continue to advocate Linda on on getting the fences taken down during the construction phase at the wastewater treatment plant. That would be a big thing. Heidi, does that answer your question? I had teed that off by asking you any update on Route 90.
Yep. Yeah, we are meeting with Patrick from Maine DOT tomorrow or Friday. I'm forgetting. I think actually, no, I think it's tomorrow. So we'll hopefully have more information next month. I don't think there's anything else since the last meeting, Linda, unless I'm forgetting something.
No, I think we're just looking forward to talking with John and Patrick and whoever else tomorrow afternoon. Looking forward to it.
John will be there too. That would be key. Let's see. I don't think anything on bike awareness. I don't think there's anything. Andrew, anything?
Sorry. No,
Yeah, I don't think so.
I haven't been doing my homework. I'm sorry, but there's a lot to be done, but I just have not.
It's not a question of doing homework. It's a question of sort of doing advocacy.
Yeah.
Type of stuff. Yeah. So in order for us to create awareness, we kind of have to be the push. There's not going to be a pull there.
Right.
Yeah. But are you heading out?
Yes. Before the next meeting, and I'll be back after 2 meetings.
And you feel good?
Yeah, I think so. Getting there. Thanks.
Okay.
Getting the back in shape.
Exactly. Exactly. You're looking very buff, very trimmed.
Getting there.
All right.
Same with you.
Yeah, right. I think I'm going to jump around a little bit on the agenda. I'm going to jump down to Linden Lane. So this has to do with the holding pond. And Tom, if I get this wrong, please correct me.
Yep.
There's a holding pond up there that the town, in 2003, the town voted to take ownership of. And the town voted for that, said, yeah, let's do it. And nobody has done anything since then. So technically the holding pond is still owned by the developer. And the developer thought that the town owned it. And so no one has maintained the holding pond for the last almost 20 years. What I've learned is that now, in order for the transfer of the deed to occur, the holding pond must be brought up to the DEP standards, which would be the responsibility of the developer. And I think that you're talking a lot of money. When I asked the town office, development office, what needs to be done, they said the first thing you need to do is hire a consultant that specializes in these holding ponds and can guide them through the DEP process, because it's a lot of work. And they were speaking from the experience they're having. I guess there's a holding pond up at Lupin Terrace in Camden. It's that low-cost development that happened like 15 years ago or something. Anyway, it's a similar issue, and they are deep into that process with the DEP. And I'm not, Allison,
It just,
I'm gonna put you on mute. I'm gonna put you on mute. So they are speaking from their experience that that there's a lot of steps. That's what the town office told me. And so I actually haven't called the developer back to give him this news, but I suspect that he's not going to be interested in spending $15,000 or $20,000 or more to clean up the holding pond and all the rest of it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tom, how was that?
I just know what you found, what you already told me, which is basically what you just said.
Yeah.
How long does it take for adverse possession to come into play?
I'm not
'Cause, I mean, that
familiar with
shows on maps as being the town of Camden land.
it.
He's never
Says
objected
it
to
says-
it.
it says Camden Commons or something, or yeah.
But even
I-
like on Google Maps, it says town of Camden.
Um,
A lot of things you look at say town of Camden. So might be a way around it. I don't know. I don't see what little, I haven't met him, what little I've heard about the developer. I don't think he's going to spend anything that he can get away with not spending to accomplish that.
yeah. I'll call him and ask him, but Heidi?
Yeah, I was just curious. I'm trying to wrap my head around how this is connected with the Pathways Committee. This is part of the portion of where we might be able to bring the trail through, or yeah, okay.
It's
So
would be
We
it would
thought
be the,
originally that it was owned by the town of Camden so that we could be able to utilize that property to have it be part of the trail, but now that it's not, so that's why we're navigating it.
almost. The Pathways Committee advocated that the town take over, and we advocated for a warrant article to ask the town to take it over because the developer was amenable to that back in 2002. So we advocated for it, and the town didn't want it, but the town community voted in support of it. And so it became something that the town should have done. Allison?
I'm all for trying to get developers to take responsibility for things, but in this case, I think maybe the public best interest might be, rather than trying to fight with a developer and get this brought up to standards, there are a couple other places like this in town. We've gone really far down the road with the Pleasant Ridge subdivision. Lupin Terrace is a little different and not so much, but
maybe it was Pleasant Ridge. I
yeah, I
thinking
just
of.
didn't really
Yeah, I
want to
think.
start a rumor about that because those people are really it's a different situation. They've been really
Sorry.
trying to do their best over at Lupin Terrace, but the town has this history of taking over roads, but then not being conscious of the fact that the road includes the stormwater management plan too. And so if I personally will be advocating for the town to take over these areas, that it's kind of a perfect opportunity to close the deal, say, okay, the community voted to take this over a long time ago. And the long-term best interest of everybody is for those stormwater ponds to be taken care of properly and for there to be some public access there. And I think it can be a win-win. And, it's going to cost the town a little bit of money, but the benefit is going to be better water quality and more public access. And it's going to cost a little bit of money. And it would just be a path of less resistance. We were poised to take over the Pleasant Ridge stormwater pond. And I think just pressuring us to move forward with some of these things and say, maybe forget it with the developer and call it a win for Pathways I don't know, I think the town should assume the cost of fixing that stormwater pond, and probably even, we have some issues at Midco Solid Waste too, a lot of stormwater runoff, and it could be in the best interest of Camden to have access to that stormwater pond and to design it a little bit better so that we don't have to send water rushing down Lime Rock Street. And anyway, because I agree, it's probably unlikely that the developer is going to say, oh yeah, well, I really want to go back and take care of that. And there's probably a little bit of a legitimate grievance there in terms of, well, the community voted to do this. And I don't know why the select board at the time didn't close the deal, but you know, maybe it's just the town's fault and we should just move ahead and take care of it.
So would would the step be to, gosh, I don't know if it's a select board discussion or an auditor discussion or a development office discussion?
I don't know, the conversation that you had about what it would take to bring it up to standards, that's probably just the line that they gave to try to protect the town from having to assume extra, you know, costs. But did Jeremy tell you that? Did Jeannie? Yeah, so that's their, you know,
both of them.
That's going to be their standard line to protect themselves from having to, you know, the town from having to do too much. But, you know, the other option would be for the town just to take it over and for the town to bring it up to standards. Somebody right away needs to bring it up to standards because it's causing a problem. So I think the best bet is for the town to do it. And I can ask Jeremy where we stand on the Pleasant Ridge stuff, because the hope had been to combine some of the Lupin Terrace issue, the Pleasant Ridge issue. There's a pathways easement over by Lupin Terrace too, actually. And so,
yeah, trail easement.
I mean, I personally think it's going to cost us a little bit of money, and the best thing to do is just for the town to.
I know this committee would be, I've looked at it. You get 5 people over there for half a day, we would clean it out. Not the culvert, but it would just, all the trees are less than 2 inches. So
well,
super
it is a
fast.
little bit more. No, I mean, I don't know if we want to go that route. I do think it's going to be a bring in an expert in water kind of situation, not just, you know, clear out the trees. In some ways,
But we could do some.
In some ways, the way it's evolved is almost like better. I don't know. I think we could have somebody.
I almost think so. It's like the trees are not hurting anything.
Like,
We just have to fix the culvert and the dam.
Right, and maybe expand it so we can take some more water. I don't know. I think it's an interesting problem that is very connected to Camden, and the way, and the quarry at the transfer station is starting to fill up, and the plan is for that water to have to spill over as stormwater. But right now we can't add any more water to Lime Rock Street without flooding Lime Rock and Belmont and all of that. So combining all of that there, and we're right in the process of looking at it with the transfer station, and that's
Who's
Dave's
looking?
problem.
Is that Dave?
Dave, yep. So I think it's a great opportunity just to get us on, I mean, get it on a town meeting or whatever we need to do to just finally get us to take that over would be better than drawing it out and trying to force a developer to do something. And then, I mean, that's going to take forever.
Town already voted to take it over. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we should say, you know what, the town voted to do this and the town needs to seal the deal, and we're angry that it hasn't happened yet.
Anybody have any inspirations on this? Like the next step?
I'll talk
I
to
wonder if
Jeremy and
it's-
see why it's going so slowly with the other thing, and if we can get it on the town meeting, if there's something we need to vote on, or if it's needs to be on a select board agenda, or.
That's the question, is whether the pathways, you know, it's weird that the pathways committee is advocating for this, because this is, yes, we're in on it from the beginning, but it's kind of evolved outside. But I'm totally willing that we should keep advocating at some point, because ultimately the pedestrians and the walkers will benefit, and that's what we're trying to get done.
And the town didn't follow through with something that it was initiated by the Pathways Committee. The whole town voted, and, you know, the administrative side of things didn't follow through. So I think it's reasonable to say, hey, what's going
whom?
on here?
To whom?
I
Should I
think
write
that
a
would
letter
be
to, a letter to the
my
editor?
job I think that would be my job as the liaison to say, it's reached a tipping point and I'm requesting it as an agenda item, not just because of these other things with stormwater and the concerns that we have there, but because of the Pathways Committee bringing out this new information that we now know that it was voted on
Perfect.
before.
I'd be happy to be at that meeting. Let me know, Allison. I could give some background history.
It was really
If you
helpful.
need
to
it.
One,
background. Thank you.
one thing, is there any way we can find out if in fact the culverts and so forth are really a problem, or if that was just somebody's way
No,
of avoiding a big?
No, Tom, the culvert that's in there is bent at 30 degrees up into the air. So it's not
So it's
working.
definitely a problem.
Yeah, and there's the dam is collapsed there too. It's sort of two things going on at once related to the culvert. The only, I'm not gonna, I don't want to get into is the stormwater. I don't know what is this thing called, Allison?
It's a stormwater detention pond, and we did go out and evaluate it. Dave checked it out. We put it in the mapped it out and took pictures, and it's definitely not functioning properly. But I also think there might be an argument to be made that there are confounding variables, and we might not want to design it exactly the same way it was initially designed. But water does flow out of it all the time, rather than what it's supposed to do is like the one at the transfer station where you actually see it dry most of the time, and then it slowly fills up during rain events and releases the water slowly. This one is full all the time.
So Tom, let's not go into whether it's working properly. Stick with the issue of the town should figure out whether it's working properly. I like this approach, Allison. It's good.
Yeah, I just raised that because if in fact that was not a real problem, then the builder would probably be happy to just go ahead and file the transfer deed. But
Yeah,
if it's going to cost him $20,000-$30,000, then he's not going to do that. So.
yeah, I can't say for sure. I don't know.
I think Jeremy was probably saying this, what we were going to do with Pleasant Ridge is we were going to require that they bring it up to standards before transferring it, for obvious reasons, because we're taking on their liability that they didn't want to pay for. But it's a different situation over there, I feel, because it was there wasn't the same history, and they were attempting to sell that as a building lot, and I don't know, it just wasn't the same. There's a different level of sort of negligence over there. They have a homeowners association, it's in their deed, things like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. All
This
right.
is a little different, and I think we could make the argument that the town should assume the responsibility.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else on that? I did ask Camden whether we could do an update from the Pathways Committee to the Select Board, and I haven't heard back. I send those messages every once in a while, regularly. Heidi, did you hear anything back about in Rockport about the work plan presentation?
I messaged John and forgot to attach the list when I did it, and so I just resent it with the correct information. So I'll make sure that we get on the committee,
On the
on the select board. Mhm.
That'd be good. It's good. It's good to keep awareness for all the reasons that Allison mentioned earlier with the wastewater treatment plan. There's been a lot of change in staffing in the select boards, and they need to know what we're doing. I I want to remind you again, if you have any, who am I getting an echo from? Not on my end. On the Rawson Avenue Bridge, if anybody has any input, please get that to Dave St. Laurent. I just read somewhere that they're starting to do the engineering designing on that. So this is the prime time. If you have any ideas and any feelings about what that bridge should look like. It's a pedestrian bridge. And the last thing I have is for this agenda. Oh, the two last things. One of them is, unfortunately, tonight, I think, was the last night that the MDOT had their 2050 long-range planning presentation, which was sort of a webinar. But I want to remind you again, as I did in emails, that you can go online and provide your input by filling out a survey. And if you're interested in getting that, let me know. If you don't know where that link is. It's particularly for the, what is it called? Active transport section or something like that. That's the one that has to do with bicycles and pedestrians.
You know, it was a really sophisticated survey. It was really, really interesting.
Good, Linda. I'm glad you took a look at it. They're really, these are professional facilitators that are doing this, and they're doing a good job trying to, can you imagine trying to get input from the whole state and trying to make it in a way that they can filter it out so it's productive? Whew, talk about herding cats. Oh my gosh. Did anybody have a chance to look at the draft Rockport sidewalk survey?
Did you send it out?
Did anybody get it?
I got it. I looked at it briefly.
Okay, Andrew, that means you got it too.
Okay, missed it. All right.
So
it totally reflects a town dismal in its approach to sidewalks.
are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm putting that right on the record.
Okay.
Jeff, real quickly,
I tried to be more specific than dismal, but there are a lot of things that can be done. You're absolutely right. Heidi?
Oh, I was just, when we were talking about when Laura that was on first thing, we were talking about things. I was trying to go back through and find the Camden version of the sidewalks. And I'm just wondering, can we find those documents somewhere? Do they live on the website, or do you have them?
They live, Camden's lives on Camden's, and I think, and Rockport should live on Rockport's. It's possible that they don't.
Even these new ones have? Or?
No, well, the new ones don't, because I haven't, and I haven't had a chance to do Camden's yet, but I will. Rockport's is done as soon as we all go, cool. That's very cool. I just was looking through, particularly for Linda and Helen, who's not here, to look at it and make sure that what you thought is what I wrote too. So please take a look at that. And then I'm going to turn my attention to doing Camden's. Camden's is a lot more complicated because we have many more miles. Andrew?
I'm sorry, I don't know if you're done with that, but I just want to go back to the Rawson Bridge for a second. Rawson Avenue, you said they're already designing it and engineering it. Are they looking for input? I mean, is there any possibility of putting an input, or they already have a pat answer kind of bridge that they're going to use there?
I don't know exactly the answer to that question, but I sent in 3 or 4 ideas to Dave St. Laurent, and I said, is this helpful, Dave? I think these would be good. And I gave him some links to the fabricators of those particular bridges. And he said, yeah, that's helpful.
Because I sent you
didn't s-
those, I sent you photos of the bridges I was looking at. Was it
Right.
anything like
remem-
that? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember. I can send you what I sent him, Andrew, and you can look at it.
Okay, yeah, I'm just curious because if they're already starting it, they're gonna pull out some standard design, it sounds like. I don't know if they're looking for something specific. Are they looking for planters or something to dress it up? I don't know.
No, I think he's just looking for ideas for the look and feel and sourcing for the bridge itself.
Okay,
I'll
Can
send
you
that
send
to
that
you.
to me too, Jeff, just to make sure that I'm not pulling in like a different direction than you. I haven't seen, I've also asked to be like told if there's any kind of movement there. I haven't heard anything yet. I think they're just talking about it, but one thing they compared it to, there's a bridge in Gardner, a pedestrian bridge in Gardner, I thought looked pretty nice. I visited recently. It's in Gardner.
Is that the one that goes over, what is that, the Kennebec?
No,
no, much smaller.
we have a smaller situation. No, it goes over the Cabasacanti stream.
The one that's sort of north, sort of west of town. Yeah.
But
There's one in Camden that's down by the crosses the river, the little footbridge. Are they looking for something like that or something more substantial?
it'll be more substantial. That's not quite up to, I think they're just looking to make sure, they want people to be happy at the end. I think Jeff is obviously concerned about what they might come up with. Lately, it seems like they have been coming up with pretty good and nice looking bridges, but send me what you're thinking so that I can advocate for that too, hopefully. Unless it's like, I don't know, are you looking like stone archway kind of thing or?
Yeah, I went to England and took pictures. They're really
Suspension.
good.
A big
No suspension. No,
bridge?
they're
No?
done with river granite. So they're round and then they have to do all the masonry work and then they're giant arches. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
so
okay.
cool. So cool. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, these are all prefabs and I was trying to source some prefabs that were not needing to ship so far, that were sourced closer by. So the transportation wouldn't be as much because they have to move the darn thing. Yeah.
Right. Like the ones they put in, I don't know if anyone's been up to Carabasset Valley, but I sent you
Yeah.
those pictures, Jeff. They're just standard truss bridges that are very strong.
Yeah.
And they're built out of Corten steel, so they rust naturally. And
That's what I was recommending too. The
no
natural rusting.
maintenance, pretty much no maintenance on them.
Yep. I like those too because they're just, yeah.
They're being used everywhere in the country. I see a
Yeah.
lot of them.
One
Yep.
thing they are talking about is making river access there too. So rather than just leaving everything exactly the way it is, adding, leaving the abutments are kind of a problem. And
They're falling
so-
down. The last storm, some of them fell down.
No,
Yeah, so rather than just trying to like put another bridge on top of those abutments, they're trying to turn since Rawson Ave is it's public space, and if cars don't need to be going over it, you can kind of turn that into like a river access point for people too, and then put the bridge maybe a little bit more over toward the tannery property.
they need
is
to
one of
create access to the Riverwalk as well.
Exactly. So they
Future
were
Riverwalk.
talking about all of those things. Yeah, like
Cool.
having the bridge tie right into the Riverwalk was one thing that they talked about, according to Dave and Audra. So they were pretty encouraged by the meeting that DOT was really open to all that kind of stuff and aware of the Riverwalk.
Okay. I I just want to jump back real quick, and this will be the last thing. On the sidewalk survey, how do we close that up? In other words, I want to give you all a chance to look at it, but if nobody looks at it, I want to say it's done. When can we say it's done? And then we can also present it to the select board. We'd great, Heidi, if we could present that at the, when we are in the Rockport Select Board.
I would think it would be important to make sure that Helen's taken a look at it, since she put a lot of efforts into it to make sure what she added. And I can take a look at it right when we get off here. And send anything from
Why don't
there.
we say input by the 15th?
Mhm.
Linda, you okay with that? It's like-
Yeah, that's fine. I'm looking at it right now as we're talking.
Right. Sidewalk survey by the 15th, and then we'll lock it up. Anything else? Anybody? Richard? Thank you very much. I just want to point out that Richard turned in a beautiful sidewalk survey, as well as finding a hazard that Dave St. Laurent said, oh my gosh, thank you very much.
2
Did he
points.
say that?
2
Did he
points.
say that? Yeah, he got points. Richard, I can't hear you.
I don't think I've heard back from Dave.
Oh,
Got some emails in there I haven't looked at too. So
okay.
anyways.
I'm sure he appreciated it. That was a nice one to find. It was, wasn't it a sunken?
It's
catch
a
basin?
plugged storm drain. Well, the water's
Oh.
running out the storm drain. Something is not right.
That's what it was.
I'm just looking at it, Jeff, and there's something in there for Route 17 and 90 intersection that says the fog lights are good there and it's good for biking. I don't remember writing that.
Oh, it wasn't verbatim what you wrote, but I took your input.
But I don't remember saying that the fog lines are good and that it's good for biking.
Well,
Is
that's based on me riding through that intersection all the time.
But yeah, so, okay, so you're adding your personal perspective there.
I am.
And I don't think that's, I disagree with that. I think it's a really unsafe intersection for anybody. And so the fog lines are good, great. I think if you're gonna do that, then you need to put in a clause there, because that's a really bad intersection.
Well, say that's what I'm looking for, is for you to look at it and make sure that it's okay with you. So I think, didn't I send can't you just do a review thing on that?
No.
Or highlight it or something?
PDF.
It's a PDF?
Yep.
Do you have Word? Can I send you Word?
Now I'll just send you some notes. How about that? And then,
Because
because
I'll send you Word if it's easier. I just want to make it easy for you.
no, I think I don't even think you should do that, because if Helen has, correction.
She can't do Word.
Yeah,
She
so why
doesn't
don't,
like Word.
I'll just send you my thoughts. And then, because if Heidi's going to present this to the select board, it's not that they're going to read it all, but somebody's going to go, oh, Route 17 and 90 is fine.
I think that is something that the town's definitely looking into with the
So what?
new fire station, and we want them to know that it's not safe. I think they know, but it's important that they're hearing it from everywhere.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that it's a safe intersection. It's a mess. It's a very dangerous intersection. But it has good fog lines. What can I say?
Yeah, I don't know who painted those fog lines. It must have been the DOT just recently.
It is. It's DOT. Yeah, at least it has them. Could be worse.
What I didn't do was actually go out Route 17 to the Hope Town line And
I didn't go all the way out, but I did drive out there to Pleasant, whatever that road is.
so there's been a lot of crashes on a corner there near Mirror Lake. And I think we should, I'll put this in the notes, but I think we should, and I'll take a drive out there, but I think we should put it in, something about the safety of that corner in general. It's a tight curve and there's a lot of crashes there. So if there's a lot of car crashes, then it's unsafe for bicyclists.
That, you could say that. I don't know what curve you're talking about. So if there's some mile marker or something there to
Yep.
pin it,
Yeah,
because
I can do that. I'll drive out there and get the spot.
yeah. Or you can just do it on the map to save you drive. Just pin it on Google Maps. All right, to the 15th then. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'll send Helen a note to tell her that, and I'll send you guys, the two of you that wanted that input for the pedestrian bridge. Andrew, have a good ride.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for your work on this. It's great.
Sure.
Um,
Do you want to go for a ride tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay.
I wonder if we should put on the agenda for next time, just a quick discussion about the new Rockport Bridge. And I don't think we weighed in as a committee to the DOT, but I think that might be a good idea if we just send along a note to them.
I think we did. I think I did something on that, Linda.
To the DOT for the new Goose River, the bridge
Yeah.
over the river?
Yeah, because I referenced the sidewalk survey that somebody did, talking about ramps and stuff, and I was comparing it to what they had designed. I remember doing this like a month or two ago.
Is this the bridge in town, in downtown Rockport?
Yeah.
With the
Goose
making
River Bridge.
So you posted something on their online comment section?
I think that's what it was. That's what it was. I went through what I think Helen did that, and looked at their design and just said what Helen said.
There's no design yet, though.
Well, I don't know what they asked for input, and that's what I wrote.
Okay.
I
Well, I
remember
wonder-
doing
I'm just-
something.
Yeah, I just wonder, and we can talk about it next time, but if we should write a formal letter just to.
Yeah, it would be, that survey was a month or two ago, I think.
Yeah. And who knows where they are in the process, but.
Heidi, that's on you.
Yeah, yep.
Well, what I can do is I can Heidi, I'll draft something and then produce it for the next meeting.
That'd be great. Yeah, and I'm wondering, Jeff, like all the data that you must do you have your pathways files that you could share with me, or like how are things organized? I'm thinking in the future about these different projects and if we should be having some kind of collaborative files.
I have too much. I have 20 years of files. It's way too much. Way too much. But be aware that I'm not gone. I'll still be electronically
Oh, nice.
around.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I thought you were like gone.
No, I won't be gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you send me an email, I'd get back to you within a week, I would say.
So you'll be signing into the Zoom meetings from afar?
If I could pull that off, I think that'd be pretty cool, but don't count on it.
You can send us good ideas from down under.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
When are you
We're
leaving, Jeff?
On the 19th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I hope you have fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's coming together. Yep. Everything. Big chess moves to make it all happen.
And Anita's down there already?
No, she's gallivanting with my son, who's his wife is expecting a baby soon, and they're having a mother-son trip together.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So bonding time. It'll be the last time he'll be able to do that for a long time.
You guys have some big things right now, don't you?
We do. We
You got
do.
adventures.
Mhm. That's the idea.
Yeah. Good for you.
All right. Thank you. All right, Tom, your adventure has already begun. You need to finish up that house. Which color is your house? Is yours the,
Oh, it's white, white with brick.
it's the white with brick one
Right.
on the uphill side?
With the big pile of mulch in front.
Yeah, that's the one. And are they building one next to you?
2 doors down.
They are building something.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the other.
They were getting going pretty good and they hit ledge. So now they have to blast.
That's what it is. Yeah. So that was going to be the other possible access point for a trail. That property, but we're not doing that.
It looks like it would be a nice spot, but
It's just, we knew there'd be a development eventually.
All right, Zoe's saying we're out of here.
Zoe. Bye, Zoe.
She's
Bye,
saying
everybody.
it's 7:30. She knows the time really well.
It is 7:30. Good for you, Zoe.
Heidi, thank you for taking the helm in Jeff's absence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Zoe, thank you for letting your mom do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Zoe.
No.
All right.
No. Bye.
See ya.
bye.
So yeah.